My name is Flora. I've always loved that name. It meant flower. For 32 years, I believed my life would be a garden. I built a career as a landscape architect, creating beauty for others. I fell in love with a man named Ben, whose smile felt like sunshine. For 2 years, we traveled. We dreamed. We had a plan. I thought we were a team. I never knew that a single word from his mother could poison my own mind, making me so desperate to prove my worth that I would betray my own dreams. Before we continue, kindly take a minute to like and subscribe to this channel. Also feel free to share your own experience with us. Our life was beautiful. Ben and I lived in a little cottage on the edge of town, its garden my personal masterpiece. Ben loved my passion. He'd bring me coffee as I sketched, calling me his brilliant earth goddess. We had a plan. 2 more years. Let my new firm get on its feet. Let him make partner. Then, we'd try for a baby. It was our shared dream. His mother, Agnes, was a frost, a woman of rigid traditions. She saw my career as a hobby and our timeline as a personal insult. Her visits were audits. She'd run a finger over my mantelpiece, and her eyes would constantly drop to my stomach. "Still just the 2 of you?" she'd ask every time. "Time's ticking, Flora. A woman's body has a schedule." Ben would always deflect. "Mom, leave her alone. We've got it all under control." He'd squeeze my hand. "Don't listen to her." I believed we were a fortress. It happened on a perfect Sunday. Ben was away on a fishing trip. Agnes had insisted on coming over. She sat on the porch, sipping tea, her eyes critical. "This garden is very wild, Flora. Don't you think it needs more control?" "I like the wildness," I said. "It feels alive." She set her cup down with a sharp click. "Some things need to be controlled. Some things need to grow. It's been 2 years. The familiar dread tightened in my chest. "We're happy with our plan, Agnes." "Your plan," she corrected, her voice turning cold. "And what if your plan doesn't work? What if the soil is no good?" I stared at her, confused. "The soil?" She leaned forward, her eyes like flint. "The soil, Flora. A garden can have all the sun and water in the world, but if the earth is barren, nothing will ever grow." The word landed like a physical blow. Barren. It meant I was empty, broken, a failed woman. Tears, hot and humiliating, sprang to my eyes. Agnes saw them and her expression hardened, satisfied. "Don't cry. Crying won't plant a seed. You need to face facts. Perhaps you're not what Ben needs." I was speechless. I stood up, legs shaking. "I think you should leave." She left, leaving the ghost of that vile word hanging in the air. Barren. 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 The desperation, the poisoned seed. I didn't sink into calm resolve. I shattered. I fell to the floor of the porch I had built and sobbed, great heaving sobs that felt like they would tear me apart. The word echoed in my head, taunting me. Barren. Barren. I grabbed my phone, my hands trembling so violently I could barely dial. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, sweetheart. Catch you later. The fish are practically jumping in the boat." She called me barren, I choked out, the words raw and broken. "What? Who? Flora, what's wrong?" "Your mother," I cried, the hysteria rising in my voice. "She came here and she said I was barren, that I was bad soil, that I'm not what you need." "Oh God, Flora, no, baby, I'm so sorry. She's a miserable old woman. Her opinions don't matter. Just forget it." "I can't," I wailed. "I can't forget it. What if she's right, Ben? What if something is wrong with me? What if we wait and it's too late and it's my fault?" "It won't be your fault," he said, his voice soothing but distant. I could hear his friends laughing in the background. "Ben, cancel the trip. Please, come home." The plea was desperate, pathetic. I needed him to choose me, right now. "Flora, I can't just leave. I'll be home tomorrow night. We'll talk then. Just try to relax, okay? Don't let her get to you." Don't let her get to you. The most useless advice in the history of the world. The call ended. The silence that followed was worse than before. I was alone with the word. It consumed me. I couldn't look at my garden without hearing it. Barren. I went into my studio, but my sketches blurred. I couldn't concentrate. All I could see was Agnes's smug, pitying face. A terrible, desperate idea began to form. A way to prove her wrong. A way to shut her up forever. When Ben came home the next evening, tired and smelling of lake water, I didn't greet him with anger or tears. I met him at the door, my eyes red-rimmed but determined. "I've been thinking," I said, my voice unnervingly steady. "I want to start trying. Now." Ben looked stunned. "Flora." "What? What about the firm, your big project? We had a plan?" "Plans change," I said, the words tasting like ash. "I can't focus on work. I can't think about anything else. I need to do this, Ben. I need to know, please." I was pleading. I was begging the man I loved to help me prove my worth to his cruel mother. I had never felt smaller. He saw the desperation in my eyes, the deep need. He sighed, pulled me into a hug, and kissed the top of my head. "Okay, honey, if that's what you need. Okay, we can try." It wasn't a romantic decision. It was a surrender. That night, we weren't making love. We were attempting a clinical, desperate procedure. I was trying to fill a void that Agnes's words had carved inside me. And it worked. 1 month later, 2 pink lines appeared. The victory felt hollow, laced with fear. 8 weeks after that, we saw them on the ultrasound. 2 tiny, flickering heartbeats. Twins. Ben whooped with joy, squeezing my hand. 2. Flora, can you believe it? I looked at the screen, at the 2 little beans that would prove Agnes wrong. I should have felt triumph. I should have felt joy. All I felt was a cold, hard stone of resolution settling in my stomach. Agnes had called me barren. She had reduced me to my reproductive function and found me wanting. She would never lay eyes on the fruit of the womb she had so carelessly dismissed. She would never know her grandchildren. The pregnancy was not the joyful experience it's supposed to be. It was my penance and my armor. Every wave of nausea, every aching back, every sleepless night was a reminder of why I was doing this. I wasn't nurturing life. I was building a fortress made of flesh and bone. Ben was over the moon, his mother's cruelty seemingly forgotten in the face of his impending fatherhood. He'd rub my belly, talking to his boys. He was convinced they were boys. Blissfully unaware that the woman carrying them was slowly hardening into stone. Agnes found out through the grapevine, a cousin Ben had told in his excitement. Her call came on a Tuesday afternoon. "Flora, Ben told me the wonderful news. Twins. God has truly blessed you," she gushed, her voice dripping with a falseness that made my skin crawl. "I'm coming over. We need to talk about the shower, about names, about everything. A grandmother has a right to be involved." The audacity took my breath away. A right. After what she'd said. "No, Agnes," I said, my voice flat, devoid of the emotion that was churning inside me. "That won't be necessary." A pause. "What do you mean? Of course it is. I have so much experience. I have everything under control," I interrupted, the same words Ben had once used to dismiss her. "We don't need your help." I hung up before she could respond. My hand was shaking, but my resolve was ironclad. Ben was furious when she called him. "She's just excited, Flora. She's going to be their grandmother. You can't just cut her out." "This is not up for discussion," I said, looking him directly in the eye for the first time since this began. "She called me barren. She looked me in the face and said I was worthless. She doesn't get to play doting grandmother now. She lost that right." "It was a stupid comment. She didn't mean it." "You don't get to tell me what she meant," I snapped, my voice rising for the first time, sharp and laced with a pain so deep It shocked him into silence. You weren't there. You didn't see her face. This is my boundary, Ben. She will not be involved. Not in the pregnancy, not in the birth, not in their lives. If you fight me on this, you will be choosing her over me. And over your children. It was an ultimatum, the coldest, hardest one I'd ever delivered. He saw the truth in my eyes, that I was dead serious, that I would leave him over this. The fight drained out of him, replaced by a confused resignation. He never brought it up again. The twins arrived on a stormy April night, a boy and a girl, Leo and Lily. When they placed them in my arms, a love so fierce and primal it was terrifying finally broke through the ice. These were not weapons. They were my children, and I would burn the world to the ground to protect them. Agnes descended on the hospital the next day. I was nursing Lily when she swept into the room, all fake smiles and expensive perfume, carrying 2 giant teddy bears. Ben looked like a deer in headlights. "Mom, what are you—" "I had to see my grandchildren," she trilled, making a beeline for the bassinet where Leo slept. "Stop." The word was quiet, but it cut through the room like a knife. She froze, her hand outstretched. "Get out," I said, my voice low and steady. I held Lily closer. "Flora, darling, don't be ridiculous." "I said get out," I repeated, my gaze locking with hers. "You are not welcome here. You will not touch my children." Her face crumpled from fake sweetness to real fury. She turned to Ben. "Benjamin, are you going to let her speak to me this way, after I came all this way?" Ben looked from my stony face to his mother's enraged one. For a moment he wavered. Then he looked at his newborn daughter in my arms, and something shifted in him. "Mom, you should go," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Now is not a good time." The betrayal on her face was a thing to behold. She left without another word, the door swinging shut behind her. The silence she left behind was the most peaceful sound I'd ever heard. The following months were a blur of sleepless nights and overwhelming love. My career was on hold, but I didn't care. My project was Leo and Lily. We hired a postpartum doula for help, refusing all of Agnes's offers. Ben, to his credit, became a devoted father, though a tension now lived between us, a silent acknowledgement of the line I had drawn in the sand. Agnes tried everything, guilt-tripping letters, gifts sent to the house that I donated unopened, tearful calls to Ben that he began to screen. She even showed up unannounced once, but I simply didn't answer the door, watching from the window as she stood on the porch, looking small and confused before finally leaving. A year passed. We christened the twins. We did not invite Agnes. On the afternoon of their first birthday, we were in the garden. Leo was toddling after a butterfly, and Lily was chewing contentedly on a blade of grass. Ben was watching them, a soft smile on his face. The sun was warm. It felt for a moment like the peace we'd had before. The gate clicked open. Agnes stood there. She looked older, frailer. Her eyes were fixed on the children, filled with a desperate, hungry longing. Ben stood up, his body tense. "Mom, you can't just show up here." "I just wanted to see them," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Just for a minute. They're my grandchildren." Leo, curious, wobbled over to her. He looked up at this stranger with his big blue eyes. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was the moment, the test. I walked over and scooped Leo into my arms. I turned to face her, my children safe against me. "You called me barren," I said, my voice not loud, but clear and absolute in the quiet garden. "You looked at my life, my work, my heart, and you saw nothing of value. You told me I was bad soil." Tears streamed down her face. "I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please, Flora." "You don't get to be sorry," I said, the coldness returning, a shield for my children. "You don't get to have this. You don't get to know them. Your apology doesn't erase the word. It doesn't unbreak the trust." I looked at my son, then back at her. "You taught me a brutal lesson, Agnes. You taught me that some ground is too poisoned to ever nurture anything good. You are poison, and I will not let you near my children." I turned my back on her, walking my babies back toward the house. I heard Ben say something low and final to her, and then the sound of the gate closing. I didn't look back. I held my children close, their warm, solid bodies a testament to my strength, not my shame. The harvest was complete. I had reaped what I had sown, not just 2 beautiful children, but the unshakable power to protect them. And I had sown a desolation for her that would last a lifetime. She had wanted grandchildren, and because of her own cruelty, she would never know them, maybe down the line when my heart melts, if it ever does. But for now, goodbye to her.